As the renowned writer of Rich Dad Poor Dad Robert Kiyosaki once said, "The rich end up poor, but the wealthy enjoy life." But what does this even mean? What makes these two terms different, which at first glance appear interchangeable? Many of us use these terms interchangeably, jumping from one to the next without because there may be slight differences in how they are defined. Even the dictionary gets them mixed up. However, there are differences which are not obvious but significant. And if you understand them, you can use them to your advantage in terms of your financial future. Today, we will go through what Robert Kiyosaki meant with his phrase and explain what it means in the financial world. So, should you be rich or wealthy? And well, what does it mean to be rich? Well, let's find out. To have a high income without accompanying assets is all that is required to be considered rich. The fact that rich people also spend a lot of money is a primary reason why having a lot of money does not automatically make one wealthy. A person who earns $10 million per year but spends $9.9 million on a lavish lifestyle will have less money at the end of the year than a good number of you will. Because they have so many other bills that are piling up, they might be unable to afford to keep the pricey car in the driveway. A significant share of rich people's incomes goes towards maintaining lavish lives, whereas just a small portion is put towards financial investments. A good example of this is athletes. Instead of putting all that money into investments, they spend it on luxury items like the expensive vehicles and jewelry, frequently requiring them to take out loans. Because of this, it does not make a difference how much money you make if you spend the same amount each year. You would be better off keeping your income at its current level of $60,000 and putting away half of that money than earning $1 million a month and all of it goes to expenses. This is one reason you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Even if you see someone driving a brand new Lamborghini, it does not necessarily signify that they are wealthy. So, what exactly does it mean to be wealthy? Wealthy is defined as the accumulation of assets. Those who are wealthy concentrate their efforts on investments. Wealthy people save at least 15% of their salaries. In most cases, they save more because they are high-income workers, have very little debt, have their retirement portfolio invested in intelligent assets, and live within their means very effectively. However, wealthy people also have a substantial amount of money in their net worth. Wealthy people own assets that provide them with a stream of passive income. Because they are very methodical and intentional with spending their money, they do not buy goods randomly. And because these individuals do not live an extravagant lifestyle, most people would be unable to identify their wealth level accurately. They look like any other regular individual. Blue trousers, sneakers, and an automobile that seems rather standard. You're probably thinking, well, what about all the billionaires with private jets, mansions, and crazy lifestyles? The reality is that they do not flaunt this. Do you know who does? Rich people. There are fewer than 800 people in the US who are worth $1 billion, although the population of the United States is close to 350 million people. That indicates that only a small percentage of people own private jets, but you don't have to be a billionaire to buy a private jet and be wealthy for the rest of your life. Wealthy people create a way of life that increases their chances of success to the greatest extent possible. They don't waste their time with pointless activities like gambling or other dangerous pursuits like using drugs. They focus on developing a wealthy mindset and searching for methods to work smarter, which frees up more time for them to devote to the things that are truly important to them. Generating passive income to build up long-term wealth is one of the most effective approaches to accomplish this goal. Businesses, real estate, and more traditional investments such as stocks and bonds are all examples of assets that wealthy people typically acquire to earn passive income. That indicates that rather than relying on putting their time at a job that pays them hourly, they're benefiting from the accumulation of wealth created by their money. This wealthy mindset helps individuals in the process of accumulating wealth and grants them independence from financial concerns. They are primarily concerned with economic growth over the long term. They feel the itch to start their own business and are motivated by ambition rather than greed. Rich people appear to have a lot of fun on the surface, but the reality is that maintaining their lifestyle is taxing and impossible over the long term. The issue with having a lot of money is that it won't necessarily make you happier. On the other hand, can you go broke being rich? Absolutely. It is a common thing that many famous people have declared bankruptcy after blowing through absurd sums of money and getting into debt. This doesn't even consider the wealth tax, which is frequently levied against people with high incomes. At one point in his life, Nicolas Cage had a fortune of $150 million and lived the lifestyle that could be expected of someone renowned and wealthy. He faced many financial difficulties by purchasing things like rare treasures, an island, and more than 10 mansions. He owed the government more than $6 million in delinquent taxes, which led to the foreclosure of some of his residences. Ouch. Compare that with the financial mastermind and billionaire Warren Buffett, who makes smart investments and doesn't waste any of his money. Even after all these years, he has not moved out of the home in Nebraska that he bought in the 1950s. Buffett has been driving the same car for years and chooses to spend his money on other things that offer him joy. It is a waste of money to pay for that sexy car unless you have the cash and financial security to afford it. Being wealthy isn't only about sacrifice. This is a widespread misconception. People often believe that one must forego all of life's enjoyable experiences to amass wealth. But unfortunately, that is not the case. The key to accumulating wealth is not so much about being frugal as it is about prioritizing one's level of contentment. Spending money on experiences rather than material objects brings greater enjoyment. Spend your money on an experience, a play, an art class, a pleasant trip, etc., rather than on the brand new jacket that has just been released. You'll notice that if you steer clear of the things that give the impression that you have a lot of money, you'll be able to concentrate on the things that bring you genuine happiness while still amassing wealth. Investing in experiences rather than the newest technology can often result in significant cost savings. When you finally come to terms with the fact that certain things are absolutely necessary for you, you will notice that you gradually start to have less of a desire for the other things that you formerly believed you simply had to have. While doing so, one's financial situation improves. So, what's the secret of accumulating wealth? Anyone can become wealthy, but first they must control their spending, ensure their income is much more than their costs, and give their investments enough time to generate interest. It is possible to amass fortune regardless of the path taken. Begin by putting aside more money monthly for savings. If at all possible, you should begin your retirement savings with at least 10% of your annual salary. The greater the quantity, the better. Your goal should be to create what is known as an emergency fund, which should be about equivalent to 3 to 6 months' worth of your monthly living expenditures. The most effective strategy for getting there combines two steps: reducing your expenditures while increasing your income. However, you must put this new difference away in savings and resist the temptation to use extra money you have created. Then pay off your debts as quickly as possible. This is an important step in building wealth and increasing net worth. If you have ridiculously high interest debt, you should prioritize paying that off and reduce the amount that you save. Make it a priority to make payments that are greater than the required minimum on accounts such as credit cards and student loans. Keeping track of your progress is important to maintain your motivation when paying off higher debts. When you get rid of any high interest debt, though, this can greatly improve your net worth and help you save a lot more money overall. When you have paid off all of your debt or are very close to doing so, you start investing as soon as possible and put away as much money as possible. This will enable interest to accumulate, enable you to make the most of your money over time. Then, continue to monitor and adapt your monetary objectives. To ensure that your long-term financial objectives and commitments remain at the forefront of your mind, it is important to revisit them regularly. Naturally, we all go through changes in our lives, which might impact how we desire to allocate our resources, both time and money. For most people, acquiring wealth is not an overnight process, and that's perfectly normal. Increasing your wealth and creating a savings cushion can take some time, but you'll be in good shape in the not-too-distant future. In addition to achieving your objectives, make it a priority to further your education. I've read many books on personal finance and investments, and they've all contributed to developing my wealth mindset and identifying my objectives in life. Now, have you already started building your wealth? And if not, what is stopping you? Comment down below. And now, before you go, join my YouTube family today and immerse yourself in a sea of practical budgeting and financial planning videos by subscribing. And then, don't forget to explore the description box where you'll find a handy link to monthly budget tools. Click subscribe now and dive into the knowledge pool. Your future self will be grateful.